Hello everyone, welcome back from the lunch, which is sponsored by Microsoft. Thank you for the excellent, wonderful lunch. Yeah. And then we also want to thank Stone for our platinum sponsor and Expose for our gold sponsor. And yeah, so now we continue our session with Paul bringing us to the exciting talk about AI and ML. Let's welcome Paul.
Can you hear me back there? If you can get a seat in this side, because there's no projector, we notice there. And when I share code staker, it might be easier, just in case you have time. So before I continue, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Paul. I've met a number of you from the meetup as well. So during the day, when I go to work, I use .NET, C# and all my day job. And then outside work, I'm also involved in nonprofit computer stakes. I help out in nonprofit getting some interviews. And today I'll be sharing more about AI and machine learning for every .NET developer. So this is like a sort of syndicated presentation because we have like for around like 3 days there's an online conference going on. Anyone here who stay up late or like around 12 a.m. to like 4 a.m. In the last 3 days to catch the conference? Or yesterday, this was also screened. It was around 2 a.m. in the morning. So I was up then trying to like interact with the speaker as well. This is really an interesting topic because AI is very interesting, and on the other hand, we also have existing applications. So when we try to, let's say, ask ourselves, is there anything that we can do to enhance the value of our applications, our existing applications? How can we infuse AI and machine learning to existing applications so that at least we can provide more value to our users? Right? So that's where this sort of context comes into the picture. So, but before we continue, I'll just focus on 3 things. So 3 things is easier to remember. We'll try to go through the review of the machine learning just a little bit. We want everyone to be on the same page, so at least when we continue further, we have the same sort of starting point and then starting point as well. And after that, I'll focus more on like what are pre-built solutions, similar to what was shared a while ago, but build more towards the existing applications, how can we put AI in it. And then after that, I'll also share about custom solutions, whereas existing pre-built solutions are not enough to cater to some problems. Yeah. So let's start with machine learning. So this one we discussed a while ago, but just a review. When there's I think meme going around the internet like a few months ago, when there's a guy sitting on the lawn, and then there's a paper in front which says, "Machine learning are just if statements." Right? I'm not sure if you agree. To some extent, maybe, but it's very hard. Just imagine for this phase, right? If we're going to program this in the traditional way, how would you identify that this is a phase? So you would program that if the object has a circle that looks like a nose, and if, then you will end up with maybe hundreds, thousands of ifs, right? So the approach for machine learning is quite different. What we do is we will create a model but using data. Data which involves determining what a face looks like, and then maybe some data that shows you what is not a face. But we need lots of this data so that our prediction will be proper. Otherwise, it will be very inaccurate if you have like maybe 10 data points. That's why we need more to be able to do our models well. So, what problems can you solve with machine learning? Generally, when you go towards machine learning, there are like two sort of areas. one is supervised and the other one is unsupervised. Supervised are the applications when we have the label already determined, and then we just have the other features that we can use to determine that particular label. Label in the sense that, let's say I want to predict the profit in the next month of this company, and then this company has certain features like their current income, their current products, and so on. We use that information to be able to predict the profit in the next month or next year. But we already know what to look for. For unsupervised ML or unsupervised machine learning, we don't have the label, but let's say you want to know some patterns. Let's say for clustering, you want to know whether there are certain customers that you have who might be age 20 to 30 and then who's usually going to malls interested in certain products. So you might be able to see that, hey, we have a certain group of people that is clustering around that particular characteristic. Then you can have a product that might be suited to that group. So that's one of the applications that we can use on supervised ML. So the goal for this session is we want to democratize the machine learning and AI in general, at least for developers. Because when you say machine learning, usually people think of data scientists or let's say ML engineers. It's just that for developers, usually when we think of our day-to-day jobs, we use C#, we develop our applications, the whole software engineering sort of life cycle. In the context of, let's say, data science, they focus more of the time developing the models. But when we want to use the feature also to enhance our app, do we need to go every time hire a data scientist in order to just infuse AI? Maybe, maybe not. But at least this way, if we have some facility or ability to infuse AI in our existing apps, perhaps as developers, then that might be better. At least it brings you the capability right in your doorstep. So what AI, machine learning, and deep learning technologies can be used in dotnet applications now? So what is available? Because if there are already available libraries, then that's something that we can do as a maybe POC or a prototype that we can think of maybe applying in our company or team. So in thinking of this, we can think of the solutions in two ways. We can think of pre-built models, which are already available, and then we can also think of custom models, where the current, let's say, pre-built models may not be able to suffice or to handle the current demands of your current requirements. So under the pre-built model, I think you have like few solutions or approaches there. One is, of course, the azure-kubernetes-services, which is a collection of libraries and frameworks for vision, for things API, and other libraries that I can show you later. That is already built, and you don't have to train it anymore. You just call an API, and then you get the answer. And then, of course, there are other pre-trained models from other sources as well. Onyx is like, I think, was introduced like recently as well. Because if you have friends or teams that created models from using other platforms like PyTorch from Facebook or TensorFlow from Google, if they made it in that way using deep learning modeling, then Onyx is like a URL. If they exported it as a Onyx format, then you might be able to use it in your data application as well, yeah. Even though they're done in a different platform. On the other side, build your own. This will explore on the existing one, which is Azure Machine Learning Studio, which is done in the cloud. You can do it, but I think you need to use R or Python in that way. It's a drag and drop concept, but at the end you have a model and then an endpoint and API that your application can call. But the same, you don't want to use R or Python. You want to use your existing skills using C# or .NET. then ML.NET might be another approach that you might want to use to create your custom AI. And of course, there are other libraries that are already existing in the market. And then today we'll just focus on azure-kubernetes-services for the demo, and then a little bit on ML.NET as well, to get the context of how to apply these in the existing application. So Fiddle AI using azure-kubernetes services and .NET applications. So the cognitive services, there are lots of them. You have vision, speech, language, knowledge search, and labs. Along with these libraries, you have different, you can call it like features that you'll be able to adapt in your app. Let's say for vision, you have computer vision to distinguish, let's say the image, is it a cat, is it a dog, or something else. And then still with the vision, you also have the custom vision service, which you can, you don't have to depend on the pre-built thing. You can upload your own photos and then get the corresponding model out of it. All the training done as well. So there are other languages as well as part of the cognitive service for speech, language, knowledge, search, and then some new stuff if we engage to other that, let's say there's a new paper being implemented, then you might want to explore the lab as well. But for this session, we'll just look on the computer vision, which contains the pre-built models, and then the custom vision service, which you can upload the photos online. So using cognitive services, computer vision, custom vision using the eShop on containers AI app. So so Microsoft has this group called the architecture patterns group. From there, the group has created a sort of sample application just to demo that, hey, we can do end-to-end solutions using microservices. So they created this eShop containers. Currently, you have you can launch it, and then you have a bunch of containers running for like your database and then your main applications and so on. What they added recently was, hey, why not use this existing infrastructure, which we already have like microservices set up, and infuse AI in the existing service. So that's what they try to do here. So they created a new repository in GitHub. They added eShop on containers AI to have those services, AI services, built into the app as well. So we're going to explore some of the applications on that. This is the GitHub link. eShop on containers AI is the same .NET architecture. So in that architecture, you have the existing eShop on containers, which doesn't have AI, and then you have eShop on containers AI, which has the AI services. So if you go through this, just click the wiki. If you want to run the whole end-to-end application, it will run using Docker, using Docker Compose. And then once you get that, it will spawn the services accordingly. And then part of that set is the application for uploading, interacting with a catalog, which I'll be showing next. So once you launch that, you will see this all features on sale this weekend. What this is trying to do is, in some search engine, apart from searching the using the words, you can also upload the photo, and then it will return the corresponding search based on the photo. So that's what the intention of this sort of application. You want to be able to search the catalog by, let's say, there's an item that you don't know what it is, but you have a picture of it, you upload, and then you get the corresponding, you can get the corresponding items. So from this, let's say, let's check this demo. So in the normal search engine, you search for something like Frisbee, and then maybe you use that to store in your local, and then in using the app, you try to upload it. Anyone here doing Frisbee? We have like alternate Frisbee back in the day, so it's fun. It's just that, let's say we try to choose a file. For now, let's forget the PHP, upload a common umbrella. And then what the app should do is when you hit the search, it should display only the results related to umbrella. So at least that's the sort of objective. So you can see all the searches are the umbrella. So the catalog will just display a different umbrella. But how about if we want to search for Fixly? Because Fixly is the one that we are interested in. We want to know if there's any Fixly in the catalog, so we want to get more stuff. But it said, sorry, we could not find any product similar to your sample image. Why? The phone is there. So, but remember, this app, this version of the app, it currently uses the computer vision API. That's the pre-built model. So, pre-built model meaning you're limited to whatever images or data that was hidden into that pre-built image. You cannot control it, you cannot update it anymore. You're just using it. So what happened there is they have a similar result. They have a result for that, for the frisbee, but the result didn't came in as frisbee. It didn't recognize as frisbee, but it recognized as dishware. It's like a dishware or a tableware. So it's a wrong prediction, or at least a prediction that we don't expect, because the existing model doesn't know about frisbee. So what do we do? So that might be a case for a custom application. We want to be able to create our model by using our own data. And then in our data, we'll upload our own data, like a picture like this. So we can do that. If you're here in the previous month for dotnet user group, I shared about custom vision AI. So this is what it's labeled. You'll be able to upload the images and then label it accordingly that, hey, these images are this big. And then you can upload another set of images and try to label them. And then at the end of this, you'll get a prediction, a model. Then using this solution, you'll be able to upload it as a TensorFlow protocol file, which you can use in your app, or another file that you can use in your Windows ML, or let's say a Docker file, which you can use in your standalone service. So this is what we discussed last month. I used like cats and dogs pictures to be able to predict, and then we have an app, let's say the phone. When you focus the camera to a cat, it will determine that, hey, it's a cat. But you don't have to code this, you just upload the picture, get the model, and then use the model in your application. So what if it's not because custom vision is for images. What if what you're predicting is number, let's say profit for a company or a region and so on. You can at least custom vision service for that. But we still want to use dotnet to be able to train. So we can use ML.NET for that to be able to use the existing data. Because we have this question right every now and then. How is pre-built machine learning good enough for you? As you've seen a while ago, perhaps there are certain situations that it may not be the fit solution. So it depends. You might want to check the previous example as well. This was shared a while ago. So let's say for sentiment analysis, you have a technique that says that for a vacuum product, this is a great vacuum cleaner. But let's say you have good result for that. But if there's a tweet that says that this vacuum cleaner sucks so much dirt, it's good, but the word sucks has a negative connotation that brings down your result for your sentiment analysis. So it might not work for your model, but you might want to explore maybe custom model for that, so that at least it can filter for this kind of scenario. Yeah. So in terms of custom models, or creating your custom model, you want to be able to have the flexibility to prepare your own data, to build, train, and evaluate it so that you can see whether it's predicting good enough, and be able to use it eventually in your application. So we have this machine learning cycle. So you use your historical data, we build and train, test and evaluate. If it's good enough, you'll have ML model file, which is already trained. And the trained file, you can use that in your application when you do the run and predict. Of whether your application is a web app, mobile app, desktop app, or IoT. Because this is at the end of the day, you'll just be giving a NuGet to ML.NET and then leverage on the existing C# code to use it in your application. So introducing ML.NET, which was this 0.5, it was I think released only this week. So it's quite new and it's quite promising as well. It allows us to build your own model, and it's also developer focused because we don't have to rely on Python and R anymore. We can do our own training for ML. And then it's also proven and extensible. Why proven? Because even though it's 0.5, the Microsoft people already use this in their existing infrastructure, as you've seen a while ago. And it's also open source and cross-platform. So same mantra, historic data, model, train, evaluate. And then under ML.NET, you have the corresponding libraries for building the model, and then the API to create your, to sync to your applications along with the transformations and learner algorithms. So this one we discussed a while ago. So this is just a number of problems that you can solve with ML.NET. For this one, for classification, regression, and then clustering. So this one, there are like different problems, right? But we have accordingly ML tasks that are suited for that using ML.NET or any machine learning library. So we have typically we have the regression, sometimes ALD, we have just a binary classification, detect issues or problems. You have like anomaly detection for that, and so on and so forth. So here I'm going to sort of break from the slides and show you some code on how we do sales forecast, which is one of the services in eShop. So we have this eShop dashboard ML, which shows the prediction of sales forecast for a product and for a user. So let's say if you have an existing app, you already have the data. How can I add, let's say, another like window or feature or dashboard inside the app that can help predict the future price of the product or the solution? So you can find the samples here. Under that, you'll get this dashboard as well, but I'll show you the code. So from here is the code giving up. Are you able to see? So from here, the solution is organized in different folders, but what you're interested with is the one under SRC folder. And then under that, you have the two projects. One is the dashboard, which is the actual application that will be using the AI model later to predict the price and show in the dashboard. But before you do the application, of course, you need the function that tells you what's the next predicted price for next month. So to get that function or to get the service, you need to build the model that produces the output. So before we do the application, we have another project for training. This is our forecast models trainer. So in here, you'll see the data that we'll be using. This is the historical data that we have for products and countries. And then using this, what we'll be doing is to predict the next price or for that particular country or product. So we'll just set this as the main project, and then once that is set, just run it. we'll do a breakpoint later so that you know where the function are located. So here, just make sure that it's select start. And then from here, I have two breakpoints, just to show that we are using the products and then the country's data for training. And then later on, the objective of this is to be able to export or save a model in a zip file. Because ML.NET exports your model into a zip file. The zip file is the one that you'll copy later to your actual application and use the model from there. So just close this. And then just continue F5 to do the training, what it does, process the instances, and then get some testing, and then we'll also process the next data, which is countries. So what it did was to train the data, create the model, and then do some testing on like a particular country. Let's say for United Kingdom, the market predict is, let's say, November, which is 11 in the year 2017. The real value for this is like 6 something, and then the predicted forecast from our model is 609 or something. Ideally, after this, you'll be able to, if you do it like when you prepare your data, right, when you cut your data into like training set or test set, ideally you'll have a bunch of test sets that you can run through. And then after running through the test step, we get the sort of information to determine whether your model is good or not. But here we just get some samples just to get an idea on how it predicts. So once you have the prediction algorithm, it will create so the trainer will create 2 zip files, and you can see it here. Which is the country month FAST-3 3D. FAST-3 3D are algorithm that we use for training, and then the same as with the product. So these 2 zip files are the models that we have trained for this from this project. Now, what we want to do is these zip files you want to copy and paste this, and then transfer it into your actual application. In your actual application, you should have a model. Model so that this model will be consumed in that particular project. Once you have this, let me show you how you can use it. So I'm going to set this to start a project so that it will be our application now. So once here, I'll just show you a bit before I run the application. It should be in the program. Okay, I'll show you later. I'll just show you how it is being used. So once you have the model there, you can load it and then use it to start predicting. But I'll show you later. I'll just show you how the application looks like just to get an idea on this stage. So when you spawn the application, this application is already leveraging on the zip file for the models that was created. So now if you go for a product, let's say bar, what products do we have? Let's say a wheelbarrow. So if I go here, check the wheelbarrow, remember there are like statistics for that product, like how it's been doing in the past year. So the red color is our history data. And then if you can see the green one, that is to show like what's our prediction for the income for this for the next month. Same with country. Let's say for country, we can let's say take Germany. It will have its own past data, and it's interestingly going to be good in the next month. But this is only, we're only displaying 1 year. It might have like other previous years for this. That's why we're able to predict a better outcome for them. So that's how we use it. So inside, let me just close this. There should be a forecast part here, where we have the models, and then the controller part, where forecast controller is there. So we use this code to be able to call the predict function. Let's say country sales, we want to be able to just predict, and then for that predict, that's where we are passing the instantaneous sort of values to be able to use that model, and then predict using the existing data for the next month. So that's one of the ways that we can use AR or ML in the application. There's more that I can share, let's say, in how to build the model, but I'll share this maybe later when we have time. Generally, you have the learning pipeline, as Martin has shared a while ago, but you'll end up, after this, you'll end up creating a model. This is your objective when you do the training. Once you have the zip file, then you can use the zip file in your application. There was one question a while ago in terms of transformation. I think for this one, before you train the model, here we are using FastPD regressor as our trainer. But before this, we are doing some transformation, one of which is doing one-hot encoding, which we transform our data into a form where the machine learning algorithm can process better. I'll show later on what's one-hot encoding later when we have, and just ask again after the presentation. Yep. So going back, that's our demo for the sales forecast. What do we have what else do we have in ML.NET? It gives you transform learners and services, other libraries. So the key thing here is it gives you libraries for feature selection, like what are the out of the data, what are the features that we want to use to be able to predict. And then let's say learners, a while ago we use a key learner, right? That you can use other learners as well to be able to train your model. And then other miscellaneous libraries, because let's say after the model is done, you want to be able to evaluate whether is that good enough for my prediction. Then you can use other libraries as evaluators for that. And then recently, as part of ML.NET version 0.5, they released a feature for TensorFlow. That means now, if your friend or other team has a photograph model, a model stored in photograph, they can connect that, leverage that photograph data, and then infuse it using an algorithm so that I can use it to score the new data in the future application. So this is how it will look like. You have it's using the native OS library. You have a photograph file in TensorFlow, and then you use ML.NET to do the binding to use it for scoring in your new data. So here the situation is training is not done in ML.NET, but training is done in TensorFlow. You can leverage your GPUs there and so on. But once that is done, you get the photograph file and then infuse it in your application. Yeah. So here is just to reiterate that it's proven, even though it's only 0.5 version now. Before it went live, Microsoft is already using this in like a number of their products. It has Excel, PowerPoint, and Windows 10. So the goal for this is not only for any developer, but you as a .NET developer, because this is ML.NET. So you already have the skill for C#. Why not extend that skill to do occasional models as well? So you don't have to depend on other roles like data scientists, which are very costly. If you want to make your app powerful, why not explore this and then give more value to your users or clients? So enterprise, take this as a bigger picture, because a while ago we just discussed more on ML.NET, right? But this is not the whole integration across. You can think of it as a sort of a spectrum. You don't just, when you improve your systems, you don't just improve one part alone, which is like AI or ML. Think of other technologies that you can use also as part of your data science or AI project. You can leverage on the cloud native microservices like the one that you showed sample that we used a while ago. You can improve on that. And then you can also do containers, which helps you, let's say, version your environment so that you have these cases where it works on my machine, right? Or it works on UAV, but maybe not in prod. So at least you have some sort of consistency within your environment. So that's the power of container. And then the application that you're building using AI and ML, you can use that together with applications as well. So if you go through that eShop on containers AI, that is end-to-end application using containers with infused AI services. So you can explore that and try to test, and then you can apply it in your applications or systems as well. So this is the bot framework. This is also another application. So it's for like communication with your users. But we can also use AI and ML functionalities there. It's not only limited in end-to-end applications as microservices, but it's also applicable for if you have an app that communicates to your clients or users. So what framework and this, which is language understanding, you can use that together with ML.NET as well. So here, if you go back to the same example that I shared a while ago, which is eShop container, click on the wiki. If you scroll this down towards the bottom, you'll find a link there for natural language processing or bot.net, for which is currently in beta. If you go there, it will guide you to create another sample application. And what the sample application does is it leverages your ML and .NET services to be able to use that in your bot application. So what we have here is this is another utility app called Bot Framework Emulator, so that you can test your chatbot in your desktop. So once you follow that instruction a while ago, right, step by step, you should be able to configure an endpoint, and then once you double-click this eShop AI bot Docker endpoint, this chatbot window will launch, and it behaves like a normal chatbot. So you can ask, "Hey, buddy," and then they'll answer that, "How can I help you?" and so on. But what you're trying to infuse here is, what about if I make this chatbot more intelligent? So not just be able to just do the corresponding, like if you have this sort of intention, I'll reply with this. But the chatbot can also say that, hey, you can upload an image or photo and then search for similar products. So you can use the same example that we have a while ago. If you upload a frisbee, it should be able to identify that, hey, you uploaded a frisbee. So that connects to the service that identifies that image. So if I just show here a bit, maybe just move forward. Where it uploads. So instead of typing your message, this is the application that we have a while ago. So we're trying to do the same, but not in the application, but in the chatbot application. So you select an image and try to open it inside the chat window. And then what you should be able to get is the chatbot should be able to reply you with the corresponding images from the catalog. So it makes your application, or not only the application, better, right? At least the engagement level with the chatbot also is improved by using the same level of technology and AI services. So that's infusing AI in the chatbot application. So coming back together, I want to share on the sort of summary of the end-to-end features of this AI and machine learning. It has a lot. So if you want to start somewhere, these are the links that you should or you would want to go to the .NET-ML, which walks you through the step-by-step. This is sort of hello world process so that you get to know, get the hang of how to use ML in your application. And then the eShop dashboard, the one that you saw in the code, is also available in this machine learning samples. So you can download that. This one, this one is not implemented in Docker, so you don't need to have Docker installed in the machine, but you'll be able to do the prediction available with the active price and then the product price and so on. And if you're someone who's very involved in the community and you want to make the machine learning or the ML better, why not check this out? It's open source. I just subscribed to the channel a few days ago, and I think every minute there's a discussion. Someone is like, "Hey, can we add this feature?" It's very, very active. So in the end, I subscribed to the subscription for the GitHub repo, and then I'll just go there once when we have time. But it's very active, so people are really excited about this. They keep improving, and then their point releases, the 0.1, 0.2 until last week it was 0.5, right? They are increasingly regularly updating this, and soon you'll have another version coming out, which is very, very exciting because it's very alive. And then the end-to-end native app, which is the one with the AI infused. This is the one that is running on a microservices platform, so it involves Docker, and then we run it using Docker Compose. And then this version of the repo, this is the one that contains AI, so you can try to replicate it, and then you try to play with the AI features of the particular infrastructure. And then hopefully get you inspired also to maybe I can use some of the AI concept in my work, because at the end of the day, we want to try something, right? There should be some change that we will be able to learn. So because if you don't learn, you don't apply, you forget, that goes away. But if it's something that we constantly do, if it's active, then that has a higher percentage of it retaining. Yeah. And that's it. We have this related or machine learning sessions over the conference. You want to check this out. These are all on channel 9. You can check the other features as well. And thank you to our sponsors, and if you have any questions, please.
Yeah, it's kind of that ready for custom or do we still need to upload it somewhere in the cloud just to have
Good question. So last month you were there. Custom Vision AI is a different platform. You don't need ML that for that. So Custom Vision AI is a platform that you can upload photos, and then after uploading the photos, you can export. The export there are already the models. You don't have to program the training of the models. You just download either if you want the Docker file or if you want the TensorFlow model, and then use that model in your C# application. On the other hand, because this is limited to images only, if you want, I think you can do images also in Alzheimer's, but if you have other applications such as responsive, NLP, or other problems that is not covered by the existing services, then handle that.
my concern actually is instead of uploading all the photos from the cloud, it's not definitely ready
If you're
or build your own model.
So, yeah, good question. So, the ML.NET, it has a list of learners. I haven't checked each of them, but if you can find, maybe there's one learner there that is carrying the image. I haven't checked that. That is something that you can check in the ML.NET API. If there is, then you don't have to go to the cloud. You can just train it locally, because you don't want to upload. Let's say if your company has restrictions, then yeah, that is something that is available. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
When you do training, right?
Yes.
Whether you make use of the video of the
Good question. So if you watch the what you call this, the video of Cesar for this, I asked the same question. So what happens in ML.NET currently is it's sort of inclined to the traditional way of doing machine learning. So it doesn't make use of the GPUs yet. But if you, because let's say if your model requires a lot of data and you don't want to wait for the training, right? What might be possible is what you have to do like Python for TensorFlow, right? Anyway, it's an approach. You can train your model, let's say TensorFlow using your GPUs, and then export the protobuf file. And then from that protobuf file, you use ML.NET to consume that, and then using your C# application for scoring. Because now we have TensorFlow scoring, right? For
Will of the UNO.NET.
the you know that not.
UNO.NET is the total virtualization.
Oh, I haven't checked. Oh, you know that. There are you know.
You only need one.
You know that I haven't checked. It's the image recognition. So it come from paper actually. Like, I haven't checked that particular model yet. It's good to explore if there's already an existing application in that, but I haven't tried. But that's a good paper to explore. And then maybe we have like monthly meetups, right? If you're interested to explore on that, why not explore? And then maybe in the next
Yeah, we can.
we can welcome you to let's share to the community as well. Yeah. Any yes? Good question. So you use currently in the current version of ML.NET, you have you have existing or call this trainers already that is built in there. So generally we use ML.NET to use that. I think CNTK, correct me if I mistaken, but we use this for what do you call this, for deep learning, right? It's like a deep learning.
Same like TensorFlow.
Yeah, so we have Microsoft has CNTK, Facebook has PyTorch, Google has TensorFlow. But at least for ML.NET, even though Google, TensorFlow is from Google, we'll still be able to leverage on that using ML.NET and infuse it in our application.
The thing is, you cannot put CNTK in your mobile app. That's going to be
Yeah.
a problem. So that's why ML.NET is the best option for that, for example.
But that is really computed from the .NET framework.
Huh?
You can use CNTK from .NET framework.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
CNTK can generate the when you train the file, train the object, for example, and then it will return as a the what do you call it,
Yeah.
the protobuf, and then after that you use in the
This is something that we might want to explore. Why not use CNTK to train a model? Let's say, I think you can export it to Onyx already, right?
yeah,
You can export Onyx and then use Onyx to use it in ML.NET and then use it in your
the idea is you don't want to train the model in your mobile app.
yeah,
it's going to
that's going to be
it's going to drain the battery.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? What we're still setting up?
Huh? And journey to AI.
So there are two questions that I asked during the session. So one is kind of unusable GPUs. There's also a question that I asked what he wants to research further. I asked like because the difference between PyTorch and TensorFlow, right? TensorFlow, I think in the new version they have a new feature already, but we have this concept of graph. Sometimes it's quite hard to debug. Like that, PyTorch will have ability to debug, right? But I think for ML.NET, since it's C#, you can do breakpoint and but the feature roadmap for this ML.NET, they are still coming up with features. Because a while ago, you saw that when we build our pipelines, right, it's like 191919. Then you have to cater sort of features in text form and so on. They wanted to have a more fluent API. so that after let's say you added one feature, you just that and then add another feature that and then that add the method for training. So the involvement for the feature for this is very
So,
yes.
regarding about this Docker future extension that you are mentioning about that, all are already previously in the
You mean
don't
the-
have to understand how it's going to be about
Okay. If you're pertaining to the example that I discussed a while ago about custom vision AI, let's say you upload your images, and then there is some of that. There are various exports that you can leverage on, and one of them is Docker file. So when you export the Docker file, what you do is you still need to run the Docker command, so that you need to create the image and then have it as a container running as a service. But what happens after that? Once you have the endpoint, then you can just use that endpoint to upload the image and then you can use it yourself. Just that, of course, you need to do the Docker command or to
So these are just
it will give you it's already a model, but a model that is already scripted for you inside Docker file. So what you need is just to build that Docker file.
so in ML, you have to understand so the network could be anything.
In your raw data for training. So in the sort of data science concept, there are practices for a number of people spend 90% of their time cleaning the data. So as long as you have the data in a good position, then that is ready for training, then well and good. Just that sometimes when, especially let's say in our company, sometimes the data doesn't come to us already clean. We need to shape it into a form that ML can do their training. So we need to think of the cleaning aspect.
Is there a limitation of ML
Because-
we just dump everything?
No, because cleaning is in this exercise, right? Data comes in all sizes and forms. So you need to be able to make sense of the data. It's not magic. So it will come in one format, the other sometimes it's not in a tidy format. So if you search, one of the best practices is if you search IDR, it will have like at least a minimum expectation on how does a tidy data look like. So all of the rows should be one observation, all of the columns should be one feature, and so on.
So there's a best practice.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Before you
Yes.
Yeah. Is it available?
It's a generic practice not only on Microsoft. One of the research that I usually follow is IPR from Agribica. It's from the R community. But even though it's an R thing, the practices there is you can still apply. So you might want to read that sort of article or book to get the best practices from there, and then maybe if you want to go for the Microsoft application, you have the data that we haven't discussed the Azure machine learning toolkit yet, but there's an application that you can use also for cleaning the data.
What's the name?
Azure machine learning. What's the name again? The one that you installed. Toolbox. AI
toolbox.
AI toolbox. AI something. I'll share
AI
it.
toolkit.
AI toolkit. I forgot the name. I'll share to you later. We did a workshop like 3 months ago. I can share to you also the GitHub repo. Then you can follow along with the workshop. Yeah. Any other question? Good. Anyone?
I have some idea for this. For example, if you go to IKEA, you take all picture of the furniture one by one. It's okay, it's free, right? And after that, you upload training. So next time you go to someone's house, you take a picture of the room, boom, they will tell you what is the name. If it's IKEA, they will know, this is IKEA, what is the name of the product. You see? That's very useful.
Check.
Okay,
This is very clear.
so thank you, Paul.
Yes, yes. work well. Okay, I'm going to use two of them because it's better. 1, 2, I'm going to use stereo today. Hold on, because I lost a little bit of something on that. Then try to do something about it.
Just use one.
Oh, choose good, choose better. 1 and 2. There you go. Yes, stereo. Very good. Hello. How are you doing, guys and ladies and guys? Good? Only 0% sleeping is good. It's a good, good time. Let's keep it this way. I've got a bad habit at throwing pen at people who sleep, so just don't. For the one who sleeps a lot, I've got this one. Very nice. And I'm pretty accurate. Cool. My name is, what is my name? My name is, that's my name, that's me. Oh, me. Hello. What I do, I'm a person and I like technology. Today we're going to be talking about what's new in Xamarin Forms, a bit, yeah. I'm going to do also a little bit of Blazor, and I'm going to do a little bit of something random, like dancing, we'll see. Right, anybody likes cross-platform development here? Yes, 1 person, 2, 5, 28. Excellent. Right, Xamarin Forms got a lot of cool new stuff that just came on the last couple of months, new features that are coming this way. And then I'll just talk again on how Blazor is pretty cool and how it actually ties in really well with Xamarin when you are just offering like a full spectrum solution to your clients, to yourself, to your nephew, whoever. Right. So the current stable release should be 3.1.0. You can go to the 3.3 if you feel like it, or you can go to the next reviews. I think since David Ortino joined, which is the guy that talks most of this presentation, it did a bit of cleanup on the Xamarin Forms team that are really redistributed, but now we've got like some really nice channels, like the stable, the pre-leave, and the nightly build. Nightly build needs to pass the build test and all that, so it's not really bad, it's just got a lot of new features that may or may not function as intended. And you can also go to their GitHub to figure out what's happening, you can see the sprint, what they're working on, and all that. Bear in mind, Xamarin Forms is a really small team, but are really, really good people. A couple of them, you may, if you went to Monkey Fest last year, or a couple of my dev days, you saw a couple of this team. Some will come back actually at Monkey Fest next month. Right. Feature of that, excellent. We're going to be talking about big things, little things, and next things. So big things just like, wow, that's great. Little things, just little tiny bit that just like save your life, save a couple of hours of code every day. And the next thing is just what's in the future. I'm going to talk fast because the presentation is quite long. Big things. Xamarin compilation has been there for a while. It just got quite improved. If you're not aware of it, that is just taking your kind of static XAML files and making like a compile representation for it to be able to kind of deflate faster if you want. So if you're not using that, it dramatically reduces the speed of runtime. Here you go. Android fast scrolling. Android is quite well known for, especially on older devices, to be a little bit kind of slow. That is due to also the fact in Xamarin Forms that a lot of UI elements start to be nested into each other. Elements that are not necessary, that are just containers, but still that need just to be catered for. Calculation happen with them because everything is just calculated. Ultimately, the fast scrolling is just like again a feature of Xamarin Forms. That has been around for not that long, but that is just like effectively really usable. That is going to speed up your Xamarin Scroll use. The only thing you need to do is just to enable this little thing here on your list view. Android list view is fast scroll enabled equal true. Although later on I will talk about some successors to lists that are just coming our way in Xamarin. That's really nice. Right, Android fast renderers. So they work for button, images, and labels. Here we go. So that goes along the line of what I just mentioned. There's just one, you build an UI with Android, you are going to put some stack layouts, you are going to put some, quite a few amount of containers that is going to code that different. One Xamarin button will just have a button renderer. The renderer, if you're familiar with Xamarin, is just pretty much the kind of cross-platform container that will then allow the target platform, iOS, Android, GWP, Linux, web, whatever, to be rendered. So the thing is, Android being relatively slow as opposed to iOS, for instance, that is just causing a lot of like it causes a bit of slowdown, especially if you consider that you may have in the excess of 100 views in a normal page when you just design mobile application. So if each of those 100 have one renderer, one other UI element, that's just a calculation attached to it, well, if you can get rid of it, that is very good. Just like that you slash your amount of elements to cater for, maybe not by 2, just exaggerating a little, but by a fair amount. And therefore that will also dramatically reduce the speed that your pages are going to be rendered and manipulated and just like played with. So the only thing you need to do is just whenever you initialize a Xamarin application on your PCR project, or PC, not PC anymore, I'm talking about standard project, there you go, you just use this construct. So, alright, it says experimental here, so you're going to say, oh no, why should I use that? Because it's experimental, something is going to blow up and just like people are going to be unhappy or something. No, it's been like that for about a year. It's going to go out in the public release very, very soon. You can be pretty fairly safe that it's actually going to be safe. Just like, we're talking about Xamarin, they got better. They did. Okay. Layer compression is just, I'm talking about the same theme again, which is just like trying to get those views to execute faster, completion to happen faster, which was just like quite, the Xamarin team, the Xamarin Forms team are quite a lot of backslash in order to improve the tooling and the speed, and therefore basically augment the velocity that developers develop with Xamarin. That is just part of the portion and back again. So layer compression, that is again trying to remove some elements intelligently that you don't need. That is a step further than the removing simple renderers as we've been seeing with the Android layout stuff. That is trying to be a little bit more clever, the same way that, let's say, the linker is working. Just look at what elements are unnecessary and remove them. So for instance, here we just had, the stack layout and the grid, and that is not going to add very, very much to your UI. So how about this bit is going to remove them for you and do the calculation to make sure that your user interface is not going to be out-there-based. So and that is going to improve the speed as well and the size, and it is very, very good. In order to enable it, you just use this construct there and let it in yellow. Compressor, yeah, equal is less equal true. Right. So yes, that is just like a small video of a form that is about 130 views. If you just use a compression, that is going to be about 111 views. If you use a fast render, that is going to be about 70 views. And it's just about half, right? That is very good. Again, just each view are kind of traditional, and that just literally perform a lot of calculation when they're not admitting that they are rendered. So that is just going to improve your speed quite a lot. Water time. So native forms, that is native forms that will allow us to use Xamarin Forms within Xamarin native environment. So you may have some applications that were not built with Xamarin Forms, just like standard Xamarin or legacy Xamarin, no, not legacy, what the term pure Xamarin, native Xamarin, that's it. But you would like to embed some Xamarin Forms views controls that provides you the ability to do so. Going further, though, I probably just talked about it a while back. We've got something called Embeddinator 3000 that goes one step further, that allows you to use Xamarin or Xamarin Forms within a native iOS or Android or Windows Phone or whatever application, which is kind of cool as well. That is not really marketed here today, but that is available. It works. It's a little bit hands-on, more hands-on, but it definitely works. A lot of people are really, really happy about it. Okay. So that is just like pretty much a demo that has been going on during the build called Smart Hotel 360, which is a demo application for managing hotels. There we go. So you can embed just some of those control within the application, and that works really well. Because the left to right that has been around for maybe since the view level, that allows you to control the flow your text is being rendered. For instance, Arabic, Japanese is going to be written from right to left as opposed from left to right. So they can be cool. Or if you just want to have an application that looks really fancy, you can just do that too. And that is one line of code required to just do this change. You can see that quite a lot of things happening because there's quite a lot of control that needs to be just tampered with. But that's just one line of code here. Xamarin Forms just simplifies your work a little bit. Flex layout, so that is been around as well probably since Build or so. That is taking the flex layout from CSS and just applying it to Xamarin Forms, which is great. That allows to have pretty much some layouts that are prioritized on the wrapping as opposed as like exact positioning or relational positioning. That is working surprisingly well. You can manage to build some relatively complex UIs with very, very few lines of code. If you are a web developer, you might be aware of this framework, is it? Yeah, probably a framework. There you go. So we have CSS now as well in Xamarin Forms. So that makes that traditionally in Xamarin Form you will use XAML to define your styles. Now you can also use CSS. So all that doesn't replace XAML because a lot of properties are still in XAML that are not importing yet to CSS. Although that is changing, more and more styles are going to be ported to CSS, which is cool. Yes, so and the style are applied as per CSS from top to bottom one by one. Yeah, so let's have a quick look at the flex layout. So pretty much here we're just setting up the direction column, and then we're just probably going to try something like in the horizontal. So then we will wrap it up, and then it's going to be looking like that. That is cool. Just wrapping it works very, very nicely. So that is again just like a flex layout container where you set your elements and just control the way that will be rendered just using those attributes. You can play around with it. It's just very, very easy, very, very simple, and surprisingly easy. David Ortino, which is again this great PM of Xamarin Form, been doing producing quite a lot of those views with flex layout. As you can see, it's pretty cool. Doing something like that in Xamarin Forms it might be a bit tricky. Something like that as well. Just like now, it's flex. But simple. Visual State Manager. So this is something that could have been achieved by triggers for the one that are familiar. That's been around in UWP and the WPF for a while. Ultimately, that is allowing you just to set some kind of predestined style that can be triggered in your UI. For instance, the usual suspect would be on hover or on click or whatever. That is allowing you just to set some properties, such as, let's say that for the visual state that is going to be on hover, I want my button to be blue and super big, and when we can do a on click, I want my button to disintegrate into oblivion. So in order just to integrate from the code, you just use the go to state and you just specify the state. Xamarin Forms comes with a couple of built-in states, which are the ones that I just mentioned, but you are welcome to actually produce your own. Yes, so that is just like an example of the Visual State Manager. Depending on the orientation of the mobile device, that is going to trigger some properties that will make sure that all the layout is actually looking quite nice. Again, this is something that could be achieved before with triggers. Just a bit clearer. Little things. So all of those are coming mostly from the, for a good part, from the open source community. On one side, you just have the developers that would like to have some more stuff taken care of in Xamarin Forms. And then you've got the open source community that is going to help out the very, very small Xamarin Form team to do quite a lot of stuff. This is pretty much, you can find like quite a few of those features if you just browse Stack Overflow or Forum or so on. Some will be only produced in libraries, but it's a little bit all over the place, and sometimes implementation is not going to be up to totally scratch. So quite a lot of those features have been implemented. Have a quick look. Basically, more little, save a day of work. Jobs are coming to Xamarin Forms. Yes, that doesn't matter. But that's to thank the contributors of Xamarin Forms, which are just very, very nice. Thank you, all of them. Anybody contributed to Xamarin Forms or Xamarin or Mono or to .NET or anywhere? Yes, one. Whoa, excellent. What did you do?
I contributed to Roslyn analyzer.
Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Right. Bottom tab. So you probably may have noticed that when it all started, Android and iOS styles for mobile application were relatively different, and now it seems to be leveling down a little. So and more customers or more applications tends to be looking quite similar between cross-platform. One of these kind of pattern that was quite different on iOS and Android was a tab that used to be on the top in Android, on the bottom of iOS. In Xamarin Form, that was traditionally kind of a pain in the bit to do, to literally have a bottom toolbar on Android, a tab bar on Android, because the tab navigation is what it is, and so on and so on. Anyways, now it's been resolved, it exists, it's nice, it's beautiful. You can put your tab bar wherever you please. Actually, just on the top and the bottom, not on the left, but who wants the left tab bar anyways? That is very, very cool. The only thing you need to do is specify literally where you want your tab bar, which is going to be here, top or bottom, for now. The title view, that is just that guy here. So that was also relatively tricky to customize the title bar in Xamarin Forms, and to be fair, it's been quite tricky to do in the native OS as well. I don't know if somebody has been trying to used to develop on iOS 4 or 5 at the time, or you literally had to hack the thing in order to achieve anything. Anyways, now this is kind of cool. You can just stuff whatever you want in your title bar. You can use any layout that you feel like using. Gestures are enabled, so you can make it tappable at present. More gestures are going to be coming up later. That will also allow you an easy way just to create more tappable buttons on the tab bar. It's also a pattern that I've been noticing over the last year, especially. More and more action buttons are popping everywhere, just on the top tab bar. That will allow you just to easily follow this pattern. Okay, so the span. We're going back again, just creating some unnecessary layout elements in your UI. So problem is just the label. You cannot do really a lot with the label. If you want to have multi-line, if you want to be able to have some rows and different style, different fonts on the same label, well, you just cannot do that easily. You have to do something very usually on the third-party components. Span were very, very good. But the problem is they didn't have any binding, for instance, or they didn't have any gestures label. Now it is changing, so you can have a label that will be able to contain span, that will be able to have their own style, that will be bindable, and that will be able to listen to gestures, which is it's actually quite a big deal. This one it looks very small, but we're using those a lot. Getting rid of labels, I mean, just like to an armada of labels, good. So yes, it's commandable now, and we can also use gestures, which is very, very nice. Right, button padding. Bizarrely, the padding was not available on buttons in Xamarin Form. So if you wanted to have a big, nice flat button like that with a very small amount of text in the middle, that was actually difficult to do. Well, again, not difficult. You have to use a renderer, basically, which is not difficult. It's just time-consuming, and you don't want to do that. So now this is it's just pretty much people complain about things, and Xamarin Form is listening with a very, very small amount of spare time, obviously. So yes, that is the on-platform and on-idiom one has been simplified as well in order to be able to set different properties depending on the target you are running your Xamarin application on. It's been simplified to literally that way. Wherever you want to have different properties for your depending on the target you're targeting, you simply use the on-platform construct and then Android, iOS, whatever. And you can set your properties this way. Very, very simple. Before it used to be just kind of clunky with quite a lot of XAML tags. Nice. So it's just like sugar coating, but it's good sugar coating. All right, time for water. How I am doing with time? Cool. Wow, I just ate 20 minutes of my time. Take your time. I'm going to drink water for 10 minutes. Nice. Right. Now it means that I will have time for demo, which is nice, and maybe a little bit of dance demonstration. I'm a terrible dancer, that's fine. Anybody sleeping, just to make sure? No, okay, fine. Threads works really well. Just like start up front and then. Right, next things. So Xamarin Essentials. So somehow I'm disappointed about the name they gave. The code name of this thing used to be called Kaboodle, which is more fun than Xamarin Essentials. That looks like a generic shampoo from a generic supermarket or something like that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Point is very, very useful. It's mostly the work of our good friend James Montemagno, who had quite a lot of plugins all over the place, but all over his Git repository. The idea was just to give them a common interface and just like put them in a package that is small enough that you can include it in your development project without fearing the expanded size of the site repository. So it will contain most of the usual suspects that you will need for development: geolocation, gyroscope, geocoding, email, clipboard, compass, connectivity. I'm pretty sure that if you're a Xamarin developer or mobile developer, you use any of those tools. That is just a cross-platform wrapper. That's pretty much the API side of Xamarin 4. It's just a package coming in handy NuGet package. And then, so it's kind of cool. You can just, the project is going to be on general, it's this Kaboodle Xamarin Essential is going to be on general release like in about a month or so. You can already use it. It's been just like announced. Now it's just the second month or third month of the year, just like early this year. And that was literally porting things that were working really well into a common environment. So use it, it is very good. It's very tasty too, it tastes of strawberry. So what I meant a bit earlier, more CSS properties are coming. So on one side, you literally have the XAML styling that will do the usual padding, color, whatever, spacing. But XAML does a little bit more than that. You've got like some, I'm just ahead of my slide. So you've got some more traditional CSS properties coming onto the CSS on XAML, such as color for activity indicator. For grid, you'll have a ROGAC, color, visual elements, you'll have a transform, and label, vertical heading, and so on and so on. So you can have a look at the extensive, not expensive, it's awfully expensive list of this thing. And then that's the other way around. Properties of the XAML styling is sitting into the CSS. For instance, we'll have the editor object that doesn't really exist in the CSS world or whatever. You'll have a placeholder and placeholder color, or you'll have a slider, a track color, or stack layout spacing. So that is getting here, which means something pretty cool that when CSS got announced, it had really only a small subset of what you could do with XAML. So if you wanted to use it, you will end up into literally having some XAML styling and some CSS styling, and you don't want to do that. You just want to have either or. I mean, that's both good. I like them both, but you definitely don't want to mess up with both at the same time. The good thing about CSS, though, if you can use less and Sass, if you've been meddling with web development, you know what I mean. That allows you just to kind of generalize your rules and just like import them with each other, mix them, do whatever, and that is just going to simplify again your styling across the board, which is kind of cool. Now, that is another very, very cool bit. When I was talking about the lists in Android earlier, that are getting a bit faster. Well, that is just even better. That is just like a completely new, revamped from the ground up collection view that will allow to actually do some complex kind of repeater style templated layouts, which are just data driven, that are going to be efficient. So basically, the problem was the list, the cells. Table cells was pretty much the problem. You need to recycle them, they're expensive, they just have a life cycle that is probably makes sense and was pretty good with the infancy of mobile development, but it's kind of no longer required. The Xamarin form can actually fly from its own wing and take literally departure from traditional mobile development. You know what, we're going to do our own stuff. And that is going to be fast and that is going to be extremely flexible. There we go. And it's impossible anything that you just like will expect from a view, but you can do this kind of layouts kind of easily now. So it looks like nothing, but just doing that on a list view beforehand was quite complicated. You needed to use maybe a grid, or you will have to add like a stack layout with just like a constructed from scratch, and that was going to be literally clunky and expensive for like a resource point of view. Now that is kind of cool. So I'm pretty excited about it. We are going to use them very, very much. Right. Well, that is just like the where you define them as a collection view tag. That's an example. That the C#. This is just thing I would like to have two column vertical, and then you just add a whatever data template to your collection. Just think about repeatedly. You don't really have a header and a footer, but you don't really care about that. That's pretty much straightforward. You already the data templates already exist. That's the way you just set up your collection. Yeah. Yes, that is something that was that in your game Xamarin Form developer will know. There was no good carousel view. Xamarin started a carousel view like 2-3 years ago, hasn't been updated for edges, very buggy. You had a lot, quite not a lot, maybe like 2 other contenders that existed that were not so great as well. We ended up actually resorting to building our own carousel in my company because we didn't have what we want. And carousel can be pretty tricky, and especially if you want them to be snappy, yeah, it's not too late to go. Well, I solved the problem now, and that looks pretty good. Is the video playing? It's not playing. Play. Was it playing? I will play it another time, just for the sake of it. Yeah. Wow, because it's nice. I like carousel. No, I really like carousels. The cool stuff is not that. Oh, you want some carousel icons like that? Yes. But you can also slide them up if you feel like it, which is maybe not in this video. But you can do that diagonally, unfortunately. Although on Flutter you can, but that is just a different topic. Flutter is very good too. Here we go. See, path, demos. Yeah, I'm going to play them side by side. Can I do that?
Yes.
No. Yes. Look at that. It's getting crazy. Right? There's some crazy carousel action there. You can also, yes, a nice pattern, for instance, to be able to skip. So when, let's say you have your application that is deep linked from a URL somewhere, click on that and you want to get into the item, so it's the details view of whatever your application has. If it is just within the carousel, you'll be able to just unloading, skip to it nicely. That provides a nice animation.
Someone is thinking to making upside down Tinder.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just
Up down Tinder.
yes. No, carousels are good. Honestly, just took like a lot of ink for them to go to that because I've been trying for the last 2 or 3 years. And finally it's open, so I'm very excited by that too. Yes, and that is due to the fact that I created those collection views. Right. Yeah, cool. Okay, so that is like the plat de resistance. When I say something in French, since I've been living in an English-speaking country, I just have to say the French bit with the English-sounding thing, which I don't have to do. I can say plat de résistance. But no, I say, and now the plat de résistance. It's stupid. But anyways, that happens. Xamarin Form Shell. Anybody in the audience knows what that is? Excellent. Well, that is good. That is good because that is new. It is news. Hot, fresh from the bakery is not going to be available generally for a while. You can just get your hands dirty if you feel like it. Ultimately, so Xamarin Forms is like a box of Lego. You've got a lot of nice pieces that allows you to build some nice applications. You can have just like a fly-in like drawer. You can have some tab navigation now on the top or on the bottom. You can have some search buttons. You can, like search bar, whatever. You can have your list, you can have your elements and all that. It's all very good. But you still, if you want to have something done quick and dirty, especially involving quite a fair bit of navigation, again, Xamarin Forms navigation got in, I believe, too early. I didn't think about it too much when they actually put the stuff in place. And I just caused a couple of side effects that basically needed some workarounds. Anyways, that allows you to literally get your app the shell of your app, as it actually says, in one file that will just define all your tabs, your navigation from A to B. If you've got like some tabs at the bottom, some sub-tabs, all your drawer, and then use data templates to actually populate your content. They just build it with performance again first, because again Xamarin got a bit of backlash in the early days of performance, and I never ever want to get back into the situation. So something that works needs to be working from the top. They actually believe that is going to be replacing, well not replacing, but is a default Xamarin form. This is just built on top of Xamarin Forms, right? Although some elements just had to bypass some element of Xamarin Form in order to work properly. Talking about tab identification, especially here. It supports also deep linking. You just get access by default at all kind of quirky target-specific bits, such as like the snack bar on Android, or like the floating button action and all that. It's got the support for C. A lot of different transitions supported out of the box. That is kind of cool. So again, this is just on top of Xamarin Form, right? So this is Xamarin Form, but just have like a new paradigm. So that's the way it's kind of built. You just have a shell, a kind of container, which will have some items. So for instance, you will have like a home section that will have only one page, so that's a single page, right? Then if you provide two of the shell content within the shell section, that is going to create two tabs, just without you going to do nothing at all, right? And if you nest some more elements within those guys, that is going to create some secondary tabs, which are going to be traditionally the top tab. So in iOS, bottom tab will be the first application, and then you'll be able to have some secondary tab on the top as well, which is cool. And you don't need to code, you just do that, and that does it for you, which I will be able to demonstrate. First with a video, and then with my hands, so getting them dirty. It's not going to work because that's the way it is. Right, so let's have a look at the one page. So one page, bottom tabs, bottom and top tabs, and you've got a flyout here. So that's the code for this page, is literally that. No backend, you just don't need to do any other coding. If you just put that on your editor, what you get is, how do you go back in here? That's going to be interesting. Yeah, you get that. If you want, again, your bottom tabs, that's it. Again, shell item, you just have your two shell content with the data template that you specify that is located to it. If you want some top tabs, create a section, and inside you just have the shell content again. And then if you want bottom and top, tabs, so that is going to be your bottom tabs, that is going to be your top tabs. And your flyout, pretty much it. Just you've got home here, and then you've got notification. Let's translate as home and notification. Again, you just provide here a whatever. There we go. So that is kind of nice and easy. I'm still yet to see how easy it's going to be able to allow to customize. Ultimately, that is really a way to navigate easily and provide some basically some material design, or just the Kubernetes kind of design out of the box. And I would like just to test it for a while when it's get like a little bit stable. and see what we can do, because I really don't like to fight framework. I think I'm not going to make it fightable. It should be like kind of nice and open. If it is okay, that could be cool, because that could potentially solve the navigation problems that Xamarin has. Although I am a BDD, TDD person, and I don't know how testable that would be, but again, I will see. I'll probably do a session about it in a few months when I'll make my mind. More gesture on Xamarin Forms. At present, we've got only 3 gestures supported: tab, pan, and the third one. More gestures are coming to be supported, such as pinch, rotate, low press. Well, it's kind of well, you can always implement them using some third-party components or recognizers, but it's kind of nice for it to be built out of the box, because the less work. The less work. Here we go. I'm not David Ortino, see? That's not me. Now let's just have a look at a couple of demos, because I've got time. I've got like 20 minutes, right? No, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Oh, it's not 1 hour, it's 40 minutes. Tell me when I'm done. I'm going to show you a bit of Blazor, because Blazor is cool. Right. Yes, who likes Blazor? We all like Blazors. Excellent. Nobody sleeping? Damn, I was... Excellent. Square root of 89. Yeah, any takers? Yeah? No? It's easy though. Go on? Sorry? Yes? No, I'm asking for the square root of an 89. Who? Where? Alright, there you go. Did you type it in your computer? Doesn't matter. Excellent. Right, so that is done. I've been bad. Does it look very, very bad? It looks a bit bad, right? Okay, let's try just to do something. If I do something like 120, is it better? Or should I go?
It's too big.
Should I make it twice? No? Yes? Too big? It's okay?
100.
What?
Make it 100.
100. I mean 110, just like
Okay.
for the sake of whatever. So, Blazor, where am I? Let me just check something super quickly. I am here, and that is, actually no, while we're still on the shell, let me show you a shell demo. Okay, how about that? How about that? Does I got you to run? Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, pretty nice to be fair. And that is going to take its time. Starting, yes, it's starting something. That just got much better by the again, just like for the one that are like use parallels, and so sometimes this thing could be a little bit hazardous, especially in Microsoft building. It's got like some voodoo happening most of the time. Up, then. I can remove that. I'm not very Ortino. Say up, and that should go somewhere there. It should go started. To be fair, it was. I mean, I'm going to launch it before I even run it, because I added on my stuff already. It's probably going to. Oh, okay, it's launching now. So it's going to close and launch. All right, now we're live. We're live and direct. So that's literally what I was showing you a bit earlier. Let's put a 120 for sake of it. Let's close everything, close everything, close everything, close everything, close all the documents. And okay, so for the one familiar with Xamarin Forms, we've got our app.xamarin, right? So what happens is here, just as per usual, on your app method, we're going to set the main page as a basically as a shell, right? This shell is just this class here, and it looks a bit like this. So nothing very interesting here happening. Here, a lot of interesting stuff happening. So that's pretty much what we said beforehand. We're going to use a flyover here. We want to have one item which is home that will have only just like one item of content. So no tab. We are going to have another item which doesn't have any tab. Then we're going to have some two-level tabs. Bottom tabbing with activity and update, which each one will have some bits and bobs, and so forth. Let's have a look. Homepage. This is where we are. Yep. Then I'm going to click on this thing. Wow, dotnet-core SG in purple. I'm going to zoom in. Right, actually I can zoom a bit more. So let's click on home. As we said, home page. We are on, where is my home? Home sits on here. And if you look at the actual template, that is going to be pointing at my, where are you? Main page. There we go. Main page, and main page just have literally a simple text, right? If I just put potato, it will be potato, right? Then we've got a feed, just a simple feed. Notice though, this platform, how they just did the search bar motion here. Look at that. Nice. That's one burger and all. Beautiful. Then a tab sandwich, because everybody likes tab sandwiches. Number one is ice cream sandwich, and then it's tab sandwich. We have the bottom tab, as we mentioned, and the top tab, as we mentioned as well. Here we go. Single page. This is a single page. And top tabs, as we did and so on. Anyway, you follow the drift. It's kind of working. They're probably going to improve it. But again, the sheer amount of code to actually define your navigation is stupidly succinct. Just we're talking about that. That's it. That's it, that's your application, and then you've got a little line of code on each tab. Cool. And super quickly, if I've got 5 minutes, I can do a 5-minute Blazor demo because it's fun.
You still have 1 hour.
1 hour? Alright, I'm going to drink water for 5 minutes then. I think this person's got like some itchy hands. What do you mean? You want to cut some salami? Oh, grate some cheese. Yes. Very good. Yes, one demo, sorry, we're just one demo away from saving the earth. One demo away. Right, so .NET Bot. So I'm going to do the quick version. So, let's go to my. There are 3 images here. 3 images with monkeys. Everybody likes monkeys because that's the way it is. Okay, cool. Then, Blazor, by the way, is literally running WebAssembly in your browser. You code in .NET. .NET is going to be literally running in your browser natively. So you don't need to use. You don't have to use Vue or React JS or whatever. You just use good old .NET with this new way of doing some things, and that is just going to take the application and run that in your browser. So it's not a server, it's just on your browser. Then after you can call some APIs if you want to feel chatty, but that's about it. Right, we are looking at an index. The index is going to be, I'm going to do something evil, which is command control, KC, no, control KC, yeah. Commenting things, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this, and then finally I'm going to do something like that. So now we just have a simple page that's got like a picture of a monkey, and we've got a button. And when we click this button, that is going to call a JavaScript method that exists somewhere around my thing here. Yeah, there we go. JavaScript method that is doing something not very interesting. It's just going to take my image, it's going to take the source, and if the source contains 2, contains 1, please swap it with 2, and if the source contains 2, swap it with 1, in order to be able to change between this image here, 1 and monkey 2. Okay, so far so good? Alright, let's run it. At present, it's no Blazor, it's just like JavaScript. Then we remove the JavaScript and we use a Blazor. Because we can. Monkey. Monkey. Yes, look at this monkey. Right, and I click, and sure enough, I've got monkey 2. Monkey 1, monkey 2, and so on. Excellent. Boring. Cool. Now, what I'm going to do is the following. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to undo what I did. Here we go, wow, fast coding. So, a couple of things here. What I did, I just created this function block, which is telling me, hey, I can write some C# in this HTML file, right? We could do that beforehand with Blazor, but this specific piece of of C# is going to be run in the browser, just like not in the server, just in the browser natively. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we can do that. So we've got the image here. I've got a method called changeImage. I just set the value of the source for this image to this variable. The way you do it is just by doing this equal at. Yeah, very good. I created a method called changeImage that does the same thing .NET style. This is C# style. And then I'm saying, hey, on click, please call this method. So before it used to be JavaScript style up bin. I remove those guys and put a nice little at, and that is going to trigger this one. Let's do it. Up, run. And it works. Yes. But now it is running in the browser. Understand or what? Yeah? Okay, done. Thank you very much. Questions? 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 Too many questions. Okay, one question. How many questions? Okay.
I thought you were going to demo how to show the Xamarin form in the Blazor.
How to show Xamarin form in Blazor? No, that's weak. That's weak. Yes. So that is done as well. You've got our good friend. That is one there. Our good friend Frank Kruger, which is a very nice guy, did a framework called UI, and that allows you to run Xamarin form pretty much in a browser. Yes. In Blazor, I haven't been doing that in Blazor. It's WebAssembly again, but it's not Blazor. Blazor doesn't allow you to do that right now, as far as I know. That just like focusing on something else. UI does that. But if you want to do that, I mean, why not? But yeah. Now, sorry, I see what you're talking about. Okay, so my point was you don't necessarily want to add your Xamarin form in the browser when you're making a project. So you are going to make a web application for a company and a mobile app for consumer, and usually you'll have a backend system for like the company to manage whatever, and then you will have a consumer application as well, web application. Although it's unlikely to be looking like a mobile application. But what you want to do is just maximize the code reuse. So all your kind of a big chunk of your client business logic, which is going to be your view models and pretty much your access layer to the APIs and your DTOs or whatever, are going to be shareable, which is kind of nice. With CSS, you could potentially reuse CSS as well, and that is kind of cool. That's what I meant by that. But yes, you can run Xamarin forms on your browser. Have you been looking at Wii? No, it's OOUI. OOUI framework. The problem thing doesn't work. So yeah, it works really well, but it doesn't give me the result I want. Framework. Sorry. It's great. I love Bing. UI framework. No. Okay, Google doesn't work as well. Here we go. That's it. Okay. Here we go. Now you can see it. Sorry. That is actually like a sandbox for playing with basically Xamarin forms on the browser as you want it. Yeah, okay. And hello. Okay, that's not very exciting, but still, it still does something. But that's the thing. So if you want to see what it is, that's the one. Slider sample. That's a slider. It's Xamarin from sampler, just like a slider running in a browser. Example editor. Yeah, and I can say like something. I want this to be. I'm ready for some. Oh, it works very well. And this is a button, and I want my. Where is everything? Background. Right. Background. Yeah, I can spell, and I don't do the right casing. There we go. So yes, that is just like pretty much doing some live Xamarin form rendered in the browser with me. There you go. Answer the question.
The Blazor can only render in IE or
I know also the breakdown everywhere now. The beauty beauty of Blazor is they separated the rendering meta, the meta engine if you want, with the actual rendering to anything else. So basically, when you build a Blazor application, that is going to be like a document that is in memory, that is going to be a hierarchy. And then you can say, I would like to render to a browser. I would like to render potentially to Xamarin form. I would like to render to my test environment. So you can render it wherever you want. You just have to build the renderer that is going to make it. Blazor? No. It's a C#. It is C#. Yes, you can see it on your. If I got time, we'll probably not. If you just run the demos that are already available, look at your sources in the thing, and you'll see you have your C# DLL there. You just have like a bootstrap JavaScript file that is just taking that on. But ultimately, it's WebAssembly. It's not only for them; it's for everyone. Just like anybody can run WebAssembly, like Ruby, the C++, whatever. Just like something that was missing, and now JavaScript doesn't have a monopoly of just running it, and it's native. It will be faster. It has to be faster. More questions?
Is there any special handling when you deploy?
No, it's just like it is literally like a package, The same way you just will run the SPA, you just download the JavaScript file, and that's it. That's the same thing. It's just literally you can just execute. If you just like put that on your local machine, or click on it, open your browser, that's it. It's just like an exit, like a browser executable. Very simple. Yes. That is the flooding of the part. Yes, sir.
Good to see that rendering has been faster on that. But what about the size? What right now?
Linker, my friend. So the thing with size is going to be linker. So if you are not using too much dependency injection or this kind of thing that is hard for linker to understand what's happening, then you can probably safely say link everything, and then maybe you'll have to pull off things to accept manually. Say just please don't touch this class or this assembly or whatever. If you're using a lot of dependency injection, that is harder, and there's only one way to do it. It's just link everything, and then you spend one day just saying, don't touch this, don't touch this, don't touch this. That's about it. But that is kind of normal. It's just like, otherwise, just don't import any packages, stop your NuGet and just use the framework itself and to do everything. From the moment you start importing some libraries, well, it doesn't know what to do. It's got an option which is just like, don't import the code that we don't use. But because the code that you don't use can be accessed by reflection or by whatever, this is why you need to use a linker. So you can get your assemblies very, very small. You spend like one day, just like one day, okay, today I'm going to do it. It's going to be tedious, boring, you're going to hate this day. And at the end of the day, just get yourself a bottle of whiskey to forget about it, but you can do it. More questions? Excellent. Cool. Next!
We like all of these. It's a double thing, but double microphone, and you're doing stereo for everyone. It kind of works except when it fell. But then the broadband can help it with them.
Yeah, and then
I bundled them together already in a single package. That's the at present. You can switch them on. I take that. What do I need? That's it, right? Let me put that back on how it was. Yes, this.
So after such an energetic session from Ben, let's try to wrap up with this last session of the day. I hope I can keep up with his energy levels.
Do you also need to use market?
Yeah,
Do you also need to use
I
market?
have one. So yes, if somebody
Keep
tries
it
to
flow
speak,
happy.
I'll try to use it. Let's see how far it goes. So I'll be talking about leveraging AKS for dotnet-core microservices. My name is Nilesh. That's my Twitter handle and blog. So what are we going to do in this session? First part of this, I will talk a bit about microservices, overview some of the commonly used patterns, and we will look at the reference application. Unfortunately, it's the same reference application which Paul mentioned, not the AI one, without AI, and I was just hoping that he doesn't cover the whole of the application and hijack my demo. Luckily he didn't, so thanks Paul. Once that's done, we will look at azure-kubernetes-service, which is AKS, we manage offerings from Microsoft Azure. And then we will also spend some time looking at what's next. After you have done microservices, after you have deployed them to AKS, what are the other things you might have to look at when you really want to put this in production? So let's get started. Microservices, you would have seen this quite often, that microservices are autonomous services that work together. What does this really mean? So to help us understand this, I borrow some of the principles of microservices from a guy called Sam Newman. He wrote a wonderful book, Building Microservices, where he talks about what are the basic building blocks of microservices. So first one is these are modeled around business domains. You have the culture of automation, they hide implementation details, decentralize all the things, then they are deployed independently. They are customer first. I'm sure many of us have been in organizations where we as IT think that there are some things which we need to build and we show it to customers, and then after spending let's say 3 months or 6 months, customers say, oh sorry, this is not what I was looking for. So this is one of the things where microservices they promote customer first approach. Then they also isolate failure. So instead of going through each one of these principles, and finally the last one is their idea of serviceable. What I would suggest is you look at a wonderful talk given by Sam Newman himself, the principles of microservices. It's about 1 hour talk, and he goes well in depth of each of these principles during this talk. And even if you're doing microservices in your current organization, let's say, I would still recommend go have a look at this book, which is a very good reference in itself. So once we have had these principles, it's quite often that we look for common patterns. Are there any patterns that we apply? Understanding principles is fine, but how can we put them to use? So I looked at what are the common patterns that are available for microservices. And fortunately, there is microservices.io, and if you specifically go to the patterns page there, they list down multiple patterns. So these are categorized around various services, or various sections. So if you look at here, these are the deployment patterns where you have multiple services per host or single service per host. There are the cross-cutting patterns, testing patterns, observability, decomposition. There is a whole lot of patterns around communication, security, discovery. So again, I will not go into details of each and every pattern here. This is again a very good reference. In my opinion, understanding the patterns, understanding the principles is one way. But is there a reference application we can use where these patterns are applied? Can we refer to some existing body of work? And that's where we have this wonderful application by the .NET architecture team. They published it long time back. It's a continuously improving application. They keep adding features to this. And in my opinion, it's one of the best applications to learn. You see a lot of patterns that are described in those earlier sections. They are implemented here. So it's a retail kind of application. We shop on containers where they have the microservices containerized inside Docker containers, and they have multiple clients accessing these microservices. So you have the Xamarin client, so there is the iOS Android or Windows app. You have the traditional HTML application, and there is the Angular application as well. And these are the microservices which are deployed. And you also have event bus architecture implemented. You have 2 options. You can either choose RabbitMQ or you can go with other service bus. So once you have this, how do we deploy? Or how do we go from like a development environment to a production environment? So this example again, or this application, it implements this end-to-end. So in the development, you have the .NET-core and .NET Framework support. You can use Docker for desktop, Linux containers or Windows containers. If you are on Windows, you can switch between Linux or Windows containers. That is during development. For the deployment, you can choose one strategy which is all containers. So all your SQL services, the document DB, Redis cache, keyword, everything can be residing inside the containers itself. Or you can go for a much more scalable option where you use these as cloud services. So your microservices, they still get deployed as containers, but for persistence, they would be relying on the managed services. And you also have the container orchestration part here. You can choose among one of these three container orchestrators or AKS as well, or the Azure Fabric. So this is a complete end-to-end solution provided, reference application which you can try in different environments, in different scenarios. So let's look at some of the important features implemented in this. First one is the domain services. So these are some of the domain services implemented within the application, and each one of them has been built with specific purpose in mind. So first one, you have the identity microservice, which uses the secure token service for user authentication. Second one is the catalog microservice, which is a simple root microservice using an extended code and SQL Server as a database. Third one is ordering microservice. This is a bit more complex, having much more complex business rules. So it is implemented using domain-driven design patterns. You have the import architecture implemented here, and other patterns which are commonly found in domain-driven design. You have Saga, you have the aggregates, you have the value objects, these kind of stuff. And then you have the microservice using in-memory cache, Redis. This is again a data-driven tool service for the microservice API. So if you look at this, they have covered 3 or 4 different scenarios in each one of these microservices. So one of the benefits of doing this is, tomorrow let's say a new technology comes in and you want to replace Redis with a better version of in-memory cache. You can just change this microservice without impacting any of the other services. Same thing applies for the other services as well. And you will be able to go much more faster in terms of your agile development and deployment as well. You don't have to stop all the other services. You can just stop one particular service, upgrade it, and go ahead. Let's look at some of the communication patterns which are implemented in these examples. So first one is the synchronous pattern, which is kind of an anti-pattern in today's world. We all want to do asynchronous communication. Nobody wants to wait for a request response kind of old ways of working. But in this example, you see that client is making a call to the basket service makes a call to the ordering service, which in turn makes a call to catalog, and catalog makes a call to order. If something fails in between any of these calls, your complete call will fail. Whereas if you implement asynchronous messaging, you can use 2 approaches. One which is based on the event burst using AMQP protocol or any other standard messaging protocol. You communicate using messages, and you don't do a synchronous call. You need to be asynchronous. Second one is using polling mechanism. So even if you are using a normal HTTP call, you can implement something like timeouts, and your calls, your dependent services don't have to wait for one another. So let's look at some examples where these are implemented. Request response, you have one example implemented in the mobile client, which calls the gateway, which calls 2 other services. This is the most common way which we have been using for quite a long time. Second one is the push-based real-time mechanism. So usually if you are using like a Twitter kind of application, stock Twitter, or if you are looking at some sports, this is the kind of functionality we have where when some updates happen on the server, they get pushed to the multiple clients. And here they are using SignalR. Third one is about single receiver message based communication, where one particular service sends a message or a command to another service using a synchronous call and a messaging infrastructure. This is like point-to-point communication, but using messaging protocols. There is another scenario where you might want a publish-subscribe kind of scenario, where one publisher publishes a particular event where more than one party might be interested in that particular event, and you can implement this using event bus with published right? So all these patterns, they are already implemented in these examples. So now let's say we have developed these microservices and our clients are consuming it. You might ask, I decompose my monolithic application into multiple services, and is it not a problem that my client has to now communicate to 15 or 20 different services? Every time a new service comes up or there's a change in your backend service, your client might get impacted. And the problem that you're trying to solve might get aggravated in one sense. So to avoid these kind of scenarios, there is a pattern which is used commonly in microservices, which is called as the API gateway. So what the API gateway does is it provides a single gateway or an entry point into all the backend services. Your client communicates directly with the gateway, and it kind of abstracts all the underlying services. So in this example, you can see that the mobile app, the web app, as well as the single page application, all these communicate to the API gateway. So we kind of address the problem of having service upgrades and changes to the services impacting the client. But there is another problem here. If you look at today's kind of technologies we are using, they are not just restricted to one kind of client. We are using different devices. We are using maybe phones. We are using tablets. We are using different ways of authenticating and authorizing users. So if we try to put all these kind of information or this logic into one single API gateway, it would again become a maintenance nightmare. And that's where another pattern which is quite common is you have a particular API gateway for a particular type of client. So this is called as backend for frontend. So every kind of frontend that you have, you create an API gateway for that. So in this example, you can see there is a mobile gateway, API gateway, and then there is a web API gateway. So in the reference application, they are using a lightweight framework for API management, which is called as the Oslo. And one example where this API gateway is used is when the user is authenticating. So let's assume you have multiple microservices which need authentication and authorization capability. Instead of every client request authenticating with these services, you can centralize this into the API gateway, and you can use something like a token which is requested and authenticated the first time a request is made, and then any subsequent service which needs that, it's managed through the API gateway. So this one is a very lightweight framework built specifically for .NET-core Oslo, and we'll be having a session next month as part of the user group. There is Alan. Alan, if you can raise your hand. This guy would be talking about it. So if you are around, I would suggest that do attend this session. We will be learning a lot more about these API gateways during this session. So some of the functionalities that API gateways have is SSL termination. You can do authentication. You can do IP whitelisting, client rate limiting or throttling, logging and monitoring. So basically, your cross-cutting concerns can be consolidated in one place, which is your API gateway. So instead of each service implementing these features, you can put them in the API gateway and make the code a lot more maintainable. So now let's assume that we have all the services ready, we have tested it locally, and we are ready to deploy it somewhere. This is where azure-kubernetes-service comes into the picture, or we need what is called as a container orchestrator. So this is the architecture of Kubernetes in general. Kubernetes follows the master and slave architecture. So you have kube master, which has the features like scheduler, DNS, account user, and then there are nodes which actually schedule the working. So these are your Docker containers which are running on the actual node. And this Kubernetes is deployed as a managed service within Azure, which is called as the Kubernetes service or EKS. So how do we go about doing this? We start with Docker desktop version where we do our testing. So Docker desktop now supports both Mac and Windows. You can use same kind of features on both the environments. You can use Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code to deploy. You can use Docker to create your images. You can use a single node Kubernetes cluster, which is again part of the latest release of Docker for desktop. And once your testing is fine, you can deploy or you can push your changes to a container registry like a public Docker hub, or you can use a private registry like Azure Container Registry, or any cloud nowadays has their own container registry support. So you can use that and then build the full multi-node cluster and use the same settings that we tested locally on this multi-node cluster. So I have a demo of this running. So let's see that in action. Okay, so here I'm starting with the resources, what I have in the subscription, and I didn't have anything. Let me just go back. It's going too fast. Okay, so you can see that when I go to all resources, there is nothing at the moment in my subscription. So I use the script provided by the project to initialize the Kubernetes cluster. I provide various parameters like what is the location, what is the resource group name I want to create, what should be the service name for the cluster, what should be the name specific, how many nodes I want, what should be the size of the name, and do I want to create the registry, my private registry within Azure or not. And when I execute this, the first step of creating the resource group and creating the registry is almost instantaneous. But then to provision the remote cluster, it takes some time. In my case, when I was recording this yesterday, it took about 10 to 15 minutes to provision all the resources. But at the end of the day, what we will see is about 15 to 20 different resources are provisioned by means of this particular script. So while it is running, I will quickly show you what the script is doing. So this is the PowerShell script, and it takes about 6 or 7 different parameters that I passed. It creates using the Azure CLI a group with whatever group name I requested. If I requested for creation of the ACR, it will create a container registry for me, and then it will go and provision this EKS cluster. So this is what it is doing in the background now. So while the cluster is being provisioned, I will also go back to the portal and see how resources are getting added. So if I go back to the resource group now, I can see a couple of resource groups are created. And when I go to the first one, you can see on the right there is already the cluster is starting, the state could be creating here, and there is also the ACR which is created. Now after some time, you can see that these many resources have been created in the cluster, and the state is updated here. Then I'm going to deploy the ingress. And this is the Kubernetes plane, or what is the management portal of Kubernetes. Once the cluster is deployed, we can access it. So here we can see the state of the deployment. So when we deploy the ingress, it requires a public IP. And again, this takes about 5 to 10 minutes to provision public IP in Azure. So you would see that the state is updating. What I also found was when you deploy for the first time, the ACR, it doesn't behave very nicely, and you would find in the next step when I do the complete deployment, you would get a message saying that the images were pushed successfully, but when the cluster tries to access those images, sometimes it fails. So just try it a couple of times and it should be fine, which you will see during the demo here. Here it was taking quite a long time, so I went back and just recreated those images. Okay. I did one thing in between here, which was to enable the monitoring part. Okay, this is one option that I enabled. So what you can do is, after your cluster is set up, you can say, I want to enable container monitoring. And if any one of you have used Kubernetes or EKS offering in the past, this option was not available when this service was running in preview. We had to do a lot of things to enable container monitoring. It was quite a manual and tedious process. Now with just one click, we can say, for the whole cluster, I want to enable monitoring, and I'll be able to show you how this helps later on when the services are deployed to the cluster. So let's squeeze through here a little bit. So here now I'm starting to build and deploy the complete application once the cluster was up and running. So this is again done using one single script. So while this is running in the background, I can show you that script as well. So I'm calling this deploy case, the PowerShell. It again takes about 8 different parameters. What is the name of the registry, local user, password, config file, whether it should be deploying to the continuous integration server, whether it should build the images, whether these images should be pushed to the registry, and what should be the tag. And it builds all those images here. If the CI deploy CI is true, it will be deploying on the CI server. If here you can see, if there is an image tag, it will tag the images. It will use the Docker compose file to compose all the images or whatever has been specified in the compose. So all those services that we saw earlier are specified in these Docker files. If we say push the images, these will be pushed using that Docker user and the Docker password that we specified. And finally, it will deploy the application. So these are all the Kubernetes commands, here basically, and each of those services are getting deployed. So you can see right here there is a list. So it deploys the infrastructure services here, like databases, Redis, MQ, and SQL, basket service, keystore, all this are deployed. And this is all the Kubernetes stuff related to the deployment. go back here, at the end of this deployment, we will get the IP, the public IP where these services are exposed. So if you remember, when we were talking about the principles of microservices, one of the things was automation. And in this example, automation is very well implemented with the help of PowerShell script. If you are not a fan of PowerShell, you want to do shell script, that's also available. You can do the same kind of operations that I did using a shell script as well. If you are, let's say, a Unix guy, you want to do shell scripting, so the same set of stuff can be done using a similar shell script available in the source code. You can see here, these are the three endpoints which are exposed. One is for your web MVC, the other one is for the health status of all the services, and third one is for the single page application web SPA. So we can look at the Kubernetes dashboard, what happened there, and you will see initially that there would be some services which are failing, some are updating. This is normal. There is nothing to worry about here because these are dependent on one another. It takes time for the first time to pull all those images and get the containers running. They have the restart policy set as always. So because of that reason, even if the container fails, it will try after some time. And when everything is fine, you will see that within a minute or so, all these services would run great. Okay, so that was the deployment one. I can show you this running live now. So this is where those services are running. This is the same IP which was available in the screen capture that I did. So you have the web MVC. This is the old style of application. This is the web SPA using Angular. And we have the health status of each and every service. So this is again another best practice with regards to microservices where you expose a health endpoint for your services for the clients to know what's the state of the service. Is the service running fine? Is there any problem with the service? And all this is implemented, especially the health check and reporting of this using Swagger. So there is no like multiple lines of code written in your code. You just have to say enable Swagger and what is the Swagger endpoint, and it pulls out all these details quite efficiently. We can look at the Kubernetes dashboard here. So all these services, they are deployed in the default namespace. Just a moment. So I can select the namespace here. The demo effect. Okay, so there are two namespaces here. One is the interest that I created, and the other one is default. So default namespace contains all these services that I deployed. So whether it's PA, shopping bag, MVC, status, catalog, identity, payment, location, and we can find out details about all these services at this Kubernetes dashboard. The other part, which is not available in the wiki which was shown by Paul for the AI application, In the non-AI version also, you have a complete set of instructions how to deploy this particular application, how to build it right from the source code for Mac, for Windows, using CLI, using Visual Studio, using Visual Studio Code, all the possible ways that you can build this application and deploy it. But there is one feature which is not documented or missing, which I was able to get working during the demo, was to have that monitoring. So I will show you the monitoring part quickly. So I go back to my resource group. The monitoring is already enabled. So I can go to the AKS cluster and I can say monitor containers. And without doing anything, just by saying enable monitoring, I get this pre-built dashboard. I can see what is the state of the cluster. You can see what is the state of different nodes in the cluster. I can find out what is running on each and every node to a very minute level. So this is something I find really useful, and this doesn't exist, or I'm not seeing this in other platforms. So you can see almost every detail. Even though this information is available in the Kubernetes dashboard as well, you can find the same stuff here, but it's not in the same manner. And I find it much more user-friendly in this scenario. So you can see all the containers which are running. Almost everything that is required about the AKS cluster is available here in the monitoring dashboard. You also have metrics, which is both the services, the metrics and the insights. They are in preview at the moment. And for some reason, the metrics were not working yesterday night when I tried. Let's see if it works now. There's some problem. Maybe I need to set some settings somewhere. I haven't explored the matrix part so far, but insights, they work perfectly fine. So let's go back to the presentation. So we looked at all this, the application, the monitoring, the health status. What's next? So let's say you are successfully deployed your microservices application, it's running fine in production, you are using AKS or any other Kubernetes service by any other cloud provider or your own on-prem Kubernetes service. What are the other things to look at from a future point of view? There are a couple of projects which are built around Kubernetes and they're quite popular nowadays. One is Helm. Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes. So whatever I did using a PowerShell script can be done very easily using Helm. The next one is Istio. Istio is again very popular out of Google, and it provides many facilities which we require for a production grade containerized cluster. One example is to inject faults during testing. So it's difficult when you're testing microservices. How do you say you are dependent on, let's say, one service, and how do you simulate a failure in that service? It's almost impossible to do it. But Istio enables you to inject a fault into a service, and it can help you test your services better. It also has the concept of sidecar container. So without making any changes to your container, you can put another container in the same node next to your container and configure some settings by means of which you can do defect tracing, you can do event logging, and many more things for which you need them in the production environment. So Istio really shines in that area. Third one is Terraform. You might have heard about Terraform in various forums. It's an infrastructure automation tool. So if you have, let's say, a strategy for building a multi-cloud environment and you want to use infrastructure as a code tool, Terraform is really helpful. Instead of building your scripts using Azure CLI or Azure specific resources or AWS CLI and AWS specific resources, you can use Terraform and deploy your resources to multiple clouds. Here are some references. First one is obviously the application which I used here, the container on eShop on containers. There is another one, SockShop Cloud Native Microservices. The e-container or eShop on containers is .NET-core specific or .NET specific kind of mainly built around Microsoft scenarios or Microsoft tools, whereas TalkShop is like a cloud native microservice reference application which doesn't really depend on a particular provider. It really tries to explain the concept of microservices using services which are built using different technologies like Node.js, there is Java app in that, there is .NET-core app. So it's another good reference point. You have the microservices patterns which I showed earlier. I didn't talk much about resiliency patterns, but this is again a good reference. Possible API gateway, we will be having a session, as I said, about this. And then there are some interesting things like factor app, state services of distributing. You have a concept with AKS which is called Azure Dev Spaces. So what this allows you to do is within the AKS cluster you can create like a developer cluster. It's like a sandbox environment and you can test your changes almost in real time. So this is again a feature which is very specific to AKS offering, but I find it useful. And then there is pointers to Kubernetes as well. In the eShop on containers, you have these references. The PDFs are available. You have the microservices architecture guide, the guide for containers with Docker and application lifecycle, and also for Xamarin forms. You have some other books like Microservices Architecture, Production Ready Microservices. There is one by the core creator of Kubernetes itself, Brendan Barnes. That's the designing distributed systems. I recommend it. And then, if you are a guy who likes to go to Meetup, I'm running a AKS learning series as part of Azure Meetup. We already had 3 parts of this, and there are 3 parts pending. This happens on every third Thursday of the month. If you're interested, you can have a look at this and join us. Or this is recorded. So I'll put the 3 video links here. You can also see them. These are available on EasyMSFT website. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. So trying to thank the sponsors for this wonderful event. And I thank you. Any questions? Yes. Yes. Okay. Good question. So the question was, in the microservices example, SQL Server, does it come as a shared instance or a separate one? If you look at the microservices theories, they say that every microservice should hold its own data. So in that sense, it should be a separate instance. But there are cases where you might want to have a shared state between 2 microservices. That's also possible. In this example, in the Docker version, they are sharing the SQL Server because you need for the SQL Server container to run minimum, I think, 3 GB of RAM just to get the container started. And if you have to run, let's say, 4 SQL servers, you would need bare minimum about 12 to 16 GB of RAM. So to avoid that scenario, they are using a shared approach here. But if you have the enough capacity on the machine, you can scale them out and run individual SQL server containers. That's possible.
How is the price check the price you take charges?
Charge of microservices or the infrastructure? Infrastructure is based on the number of nodes. You don't pay for the master here. What Azure provides is master is managed by Microsoft or Azure. You pay only for the agent nodes. Yeah. So depending on what kind of agent you chose, I chose I think D2, D3. So the charges could be for whatever that VM cost. So I chose B. I chose B2. So it will be 3 times this VM charges.
Can have multiple modules.
Let's put it to this. you can collect this. So the question is, can you spin up multiple master nodes? If you manage the environment, yes. Here it is all managed by Azure-Kubernetes. So if you spin the Kubernetes cluster yourself, yes, you can do that. But since you don't have direct access to the master here, I don't know how it's being managed. It is highly available. I know that it's well managed, but I don't know if it's like 3 masters or 5 masters, how many masters you use right now. Yes.
You were talking about the Kubernetes for monitoring the container. Is there any way you can monitor all the microservices logs except from the production?
Yes. This solution has that. So again, if you look at the 12-factor app, right, the link that I provided, they suggest that you should use a console kind of log, and those should be aggregated to one place, and you can build monitoring around that. So in this solution, if you're writing it to the console, you'll be able to see that. Log, there is a separate log monitoring solution as well. So if you go to the offering, when you look at the options here, there is new log, and you can look at this. There is also other options like you can use open source solutions, Prometheus and Grafana kind of scenario, where or Elasticsearch, you route all your logs to a centralized Elastic cluster and you can build visualizations on top of that as well. That's also possible. Any other questions?
Any more questions?
No? Okay. Okay. You already got the service group, please come. Take photo. Yeah, in front of this. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Come on. Last time. The last one.
But who is going to take photo? Vậy里面很多照片。
哦，
哎，你那个该第一个那个 goal 的啊 I think I will take down video。跟你要 screenshot。
哪个？
第一个 goal 的。
Okay.
Service goal 的。
Now who's going to take a picture?